I remember we had tried to, or originally wanted to produce the pilot in Los Angeles, but we were unable to find a suitable forest. And so we sort of just uprooted the original sort of small number of personnel that were working to try to produce the pilot here, and went up to Vancouver at the suggestion of Charlie Goldstein, who was the production executive on the X-Files, or actually at Fox. And so we went up to Vancouver because they had a great forest. It was, as David Duchovny said, 2 weeks that turned into 5 years. We never considered going back to Los Angeles after the pilot because I realized that Vancouver was going to be the perfect place to shoot the show. You got something in Vancouver. You got a number of things in Vancouver. You've got, first of all, you have crews up there who have a fantastic work ethic, so we got that. You have a place that doesn't look like any place in particular, so it could look like many different places. And since we were doing episodes that took place around the United States, Vancouver really could double as almost anywhere with all kinds of different rural and urban settings. And the next thing we got was free atmosphere. Vancouver has a way of adding to the, I would call it the sort of eeriness and creepiness and gloominess that became a signature of the X-Files. I approached that pilot, I mean, I was completely hands-on. I was behind the camera for every shot, and luckily we had a very collaborative luckily we had a very collaborative director, Robert Mandel, and I was working with somebody who I've come to be very good friends with, who I had just met as a producer on the pilot, Dan Sackheim, and we powwowed a lot about the shots and the approach and the energy and the intent of scenes. So it was something that I was very hands-on with throughout the process. The pilot episode, because it was so unexpected, I think that it got a lot of attention just because it was offbeat. It was like nothing else on television, and that can work for you and against you, because if it's not like anything else on television, the chances are that it's going to be received with less enthusiasm than it might have otherwise. But I had actually developed a little main title sequence for it, and I had done a packet, sort of like a marketing packet. I had sort of gone all out to sort of sell the show with extra effort in the marketing. I remember getting feedback before it aired. We went through the marketing, the testing process, which is where a group of people sit in a room and you're behind a two-way mirror, and you get to watch the people respond and react to the pilot. And there's also a television monitor that is up in your room, and it graphs their response as they dial the knobs. And I remember seeing those peaks and then those valleys, and my heart would dip, and I would see those peaks, and my enthusiasm and excitement would rise, and then I would see those valleys. I didn't realize the value of those peaks and those valleys, that you need to have periods of tension and periods of relief. It didn't make sense to me, and all of a sudden when I saw the graph, it made perfect sense to me that this is the sort of natural progression of a story. But I remember that in that test marketing that night, that there was one person in the room who, when asked how he liked the pilot, he said, I love it, it's perfect. I'll never forget that night. It was a really a sort of a celebration of what we had all worked so hard on. I remember the LA Times, Howard Rosenberg said it had just enough air to keep this saucer afloat or something like that. The responses were, I think, across the board favorable, but I don't remember it being an instant hit.